Okay, so I had a client reach out to me the other day and ask me to help them book a honeymoon trip. So they have 250,000 Chase points. So I wanted to show you guys how I would go about booking a trip for them. There's a lot of options and you can go many different directions. So I started to pull a few that I thought were really great. But one question that a lot of people have is how you actually go about accumulating 250,000 Chase points. A lot of people think that that's very unattainable, that you have to spend $250,000 in order to get that, but that's actually not true. If we look at the current rates for sign up bonuses with Chase cards right now, there's actually a $100,000 sign up bonus for the Chase Sapphire Preferred card. Then once you have the Chase Sapphire Preferred card, it's fairly easy to accumulate points for the average person. If we look at families in general, the average family right now is spending roughly $1,400 on groceries a month. With the Chase Sapphire Preferred card, if you're buying your groceries online, so you're prepaying ahead of time through Whole Foods app or whatever it might be, you're going to get 3 times points on all grocery purchases. Dining's the same way. Average family spending $500 a month right now on dining, so that's another 1,500 points a month that you would receive from the card at 3 times points. You get great multipliers on gas, streaming services, and then you're also getting 2 times points on miscellaneous purchases. So it's a great card if you're already spending the money to shift some of your spending from, say, a different credit card or a debit card or whatever it might be over to a Chase Sapphire Preferred card to capture as many points as possible. If I just go through the average amount of spend that a family has right now on a day to day basis and were to apply those purchases to the Chase Sapphire Preferred card, the average family, from what I'm seeing, would accumulate 90,000 to 100,000 points a year on the card. Keep in mind, you also have the sign up bonus too. So to get 200,000 points in year one is fairly attainable. So if we think about that math, in a year and a half, the average family could essentially have at any point in time 200 to 300,000 points. This particular person has 260,000 Chase points, and that's what we're going to be using to help to plan their honeymoon. So, where would I start with this? A lot of people think that the best way to kind of plan this out is to start with the hotel, but I'm actually going to challenge that and say that probably the best place to start would be to shop the deal on the flights. So there are two places that they wanted to look at. One of them was Japan, and then the other one was actually Paris. So they could go two different directions, and their home base was in Boston. So what I did is I hopped over to Seats.aero, which is my preferred place to go and shop for credit card point deals whenever it comes to flights. One of the advantages of this is it allows you to not only see the flights that are available, but you can also do sorting tools. So you can see airports, you can see transfer partners, you can see whatever it might be. So as an example, I was looking to fly from LAX to Tokyo, Haneda Airport, and they were looking to go to Japan sometime in February so they could do some skiing too. What I did is I checked off only direct flights, and then I said, what is available around this time? And I set a time frame plus or minus 14 days. So as I go through and I search this, what we can see are some great options for relatively inexpensive points. What we can see is from LAX to Tokyo, there are deals out there for 25,000 points. And then if you continue to scroll down here, they're with different airlines. So that's if you were to transfer points to Qatar or American Airlines. But the caveat here is that not all airlines support Chase points. What we want to do is prioritize the transfer partners where you can actually send your Chase points to. Flying Blue is a great one. Flying Blue allows you to book points and transfer Chase points directly over to them for a 1-for-1 point conversion ratio. So as I look here, there's a flight available at 10:30 a.m. out of LAX to Haneda Airport that gets you in, in the afternoon here. It's 11 hours and 50 minutes direct, and it's 36,000 Chase points, which is a pretty great deal considering this flight would be more than double that historically speaking if you were to book it via cash. So this would be a great option. But then the question becomes is what other credit card points could you use to also consolidate in here if they have other cards outside of Chase? So if you look across the top here, it shows that Amex is a transfer partner for Flying Blue. So are Bilt, so are Citi points, Capital One. You have a bunch in here. So if you didn't have all the Chase points, but you had some Amex points, you could send both Amex and Chase points to Flying Blue via the transfer partner. It's a 1-for-1 conversion, and you could stack the points up from there to book the flight. So, this is a great option for a flight, but then we have to think about your hotels at that point. One hotel that I really love in Tokyo, and just in general, a fantastic hotel chain, is the Andaz. One of the big advantages of being a Chase card holder is you have Hyatt as a transfer partner. Hyatt has some of the best redemptions for hotel rewards when it comes to points. So, as a perfect example here, if I'm looking for that exact same date that we just showed using the Seats.aero tool to go in and shop around for hotel deals, we can see that the Andaz Hotel, which is a Category 8 hotel, which is one of the top hotels in the World of Hyatt category, has some great hotel redemptions as well. So if we look here, if you were to get in on the 14th and then leave the 19th, you have 35,000 points a night is going to be one of your best rates that you can receive on this hotel, and it's available. So for 5 nights at this hotel, it would be 205,000 points. So essentially, with their budget of, let's just say, 250,000 points, they would be covering their flights to LAX and then also their stay at the Andaz Tokyo, which is, if I total those things up, would come to 241,000 points in total, leaving them a difference of 9,000 points. So this is a great option for them if they want to go to Tokyo in February, see Tokyo, and then go north from there to go skiing. Another option that they were really looking into was to go to Paris for their honeymoon. We were looking next year in summertime because if they're going to go looking at Japan in the winter, they didn't necessarily want to do Paris in the summer. It was one or the other. So they're deciding between the two of them. Once again, one of the best transfer partners for Chase is Hyatt Hotels. Hyatt Hotels has some of the best hotels out there, and one great option that is relatively unaffordable for most people is the Park Hyatt in Paris. Stays at this hotel can range anywhere from $1,700 a night on the low end, all the way up to $3,000 to $4,000 per night at this hotel. It is one of the nicest and most expensive hotels in Paris, and it is a transfer partner for the Chase card being a Hyatt property. As we were looking at next year, I wanted to look at the Park Hyatt Paris, which has hosted many celebrities, famous people, even presidents and dignitaries before in the past. This hotel is unavailable, I'll say, for April, May, and June. But as I fast forwarded, in July, there's actually plenty of availability using Chase points if you transfer them to Hyatt to book in advance. A 5 night stay here is 235,000 points. So it would use the majority of their Chase point balance. However, this would be a splurge stay for honeymoon, and if I was to pay for this with cash, we would be looking at a cash price of over $9,200. So you're getting a 4x return on your points and staying in one of the nicest hotels in the world. Now, it's too far in advance to book the flights to Paris. However, with that being said, if I was to flip over and take a look at what flights are available to Charles de Gaulle right now, we can see that there are plenty of great options in terms of flights from Boston or JFK to Paris for very little money. It's quite common to get a 27,000 point flight using Chase points to get from Boston to Paris and then back again. In fact, there's even a transfer bonus right now if you are to transfer your points from Chase to Virgin Atlantic, as opposed to one, they give you a bonus. And oftentimes that can be either a 1.3 times bonus, and I've even seen it as high as 1.4 to 1.5. So while it's too soon to book the flights, there are usually some great deals out there to get yourself from the East Coast to Paris for cheap. So those were two great options that I found for this particular couple in order to fly on their honeymoon, either to Japan or to Paris. It's using Chase points a great way to, if you're already spending the money, reduce your travel costs and use those points to a higher multiple. Thank you for tuning in. Subscribe for more.